the Ohio State Buckeyes season is sadly over. I'm Nicole Shearin, joined by 97.1 The Fan's Tim Hall. And Tim, final score 24-14. Tale of two halves. The Buckeyes started off biggest deficit they faced all season, 14-0 at halftime. They then
2 seasons.
In 3 seasons. Yeah,
it was 2 Michigan games
Yes,
ago.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then second half,
lost that game.
They looked like a completely different team, but it was too little, too late. I want to go out to our very own Dom Tiberi, who is live at AT&T Stadium. And Dommy, I mean, what are the emotions right now?
Well, I think we're all in shock. The Buckeyes right now are doing Carmen, Ohio. The players are coming in, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of tears. These guys just don't believe what happened, and it's very painful, and it's so sad to see it end this way. We'll take a watch as they do Carmen, Ohio. Very unfortunate the way this game ended. You look behind me, right here is Brian Hartline, Jeremiah Smith. Obviously, very, very tough situation. Well, right now, let's throw it over to Adam King. Adam, where are you?
Are you ready, Todd? Well, this is not what anybody expected here in Dallas. We can see them here. I'm going to show you just over my shoulder. I noticed IGB, he went back to the locker room. They went and got him to come sing what will be his final Carmen, Ohio. I was here 2 years ago when they lost to Missouri, and it was not a playoff game, but you could still feel the emotion in this locker room as the team. There comes Julian saying, obviously not the performance he wanted in this game. Really, the second half, the Buckeyes looked every bit what we expected to see. That first half, though, a completely different team, far from anything we've seen from this squad all season long. Matt Patricia over here comforting Devin Sanchez, who played a really good game. Had to step in with Lorenzo Styles going down. This is emotion we haven't experienced in Columbus really since that Missouri game in this exact same hallway, what was now 2 years ago. Kenyatta Jackson walking off the field. We don't know if it'll be his final time as a Buckeye. We certainly hope he'll be back. He's a great defensive lineman, but that is a question for a lot of these guys, is what is the future with them. We're going to give them about 10 minutes. They calm down. You know, they have a cooling off period is what the NCAA calls it. And then maybe we'll talk to a few of these guys. You can see, C.J. Donaldson, he played a remarkable game. Coach Locke comforting there. But just the first half, too much for the Buckeyes to overcome. And the Miami Hurricanes, they are your winners of the Cotton Bowl.
All right, thank you guys. I mean, just seeing all that emotion, it breaks your heart when you see it. I mean, for some of those guys, like they both said, that was their last game in the Scarlet and Gray. Yeah. And it was a game that they didn't expect to lose. So we're going to get you back to the Nashville Big Bash New Year's Eve special on 10 TV right now, but our post-game coverage is just getting started. Coming up on 10 TV Plus, we're going to go back to Dom Tiberi and Adam King, who will hopefully have some interviews with Coach Day, the players, just breaking down everything about this game and much more. So if you want to watch our exclusive coverage from Arlington, Texas, download 10 TV Plus on your smart TV right now. But let's get you back to the Nashville Big Bash New Year's Eve special on 10 TV, and we'll see you soon on 10 TV Plus. Well, thanks for joining us on 10 TV Plus for this live post-game edition of Chasing the Championship. And the Ohio State Buckeyes season has come to an end. I hate to say it. I'm Nicole Shearin, joined now by 97.1 The Fan's Tim Hall. 24-14, final score from Arlington. This was not an outcome I think anybody expected. It was really a tale of two halves. The second half was the Buckeye team we've really seen all season. The first half, not so much. I mean, Tim, just to start, I really think the storyline of the game is the offensive line, Julian Sand, not getting enough time to convert those plays, find his guys downfield. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, I want to start by not making excuses, because I know what I'm thinking about, and I think it's everybody in college football is thinking about it right now too. There isn't anybody nationally, though, that's going to be crying for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think we know that. Like, we're all hurting right now and watching this team go down that way, and it was not a good performance. And the fact that you saw an offensive line look like they forgot how to play football, it looked like we didn't know how to, work twists or stunts. There was so much rust with this football team, and they finally started to knock some of it off in the second half, and you started to see the team that we have known all season long, but it was just a little too late. You can't make any mistakes when you're playing catch-up, and Miami's defense, they were a factor. I was afraid of them, and some of their guys, Reuben Bain and Thomas, had a great game for them. They're riding high. It's just a complete reversal.
Yeah.
2002, Ohio State knocked off one of the most dominant teams in college football, and then this time around, Miami gets in the way of Ohio State.
I mean, like you said, Tim, Miami came out there with everything to gain and nothing to lose. Our Adam King and Dom Tiberi have been with the team all week in Arlington. We're going to send it out to Dom Tiberi, who is joined with former Buckeye Bobby Carpenter. Hey, guys.
Well, Bobby, we talked before the game, and, to me, this game came down to the trenches. Give credit to Miami. They were the better team in the trenches. Ohio State made some changes with the offensive line, but Julian Sands sacked 5 times in the game. I think he learned a lot tonight. He made a couple mistakes, but I got to admit, I'm pretty shocked.
A lot of people are, Dom. I mean, you look at the pick 6, obviously that was shocking. Ian Moore came in, started playing some more on the offensive line. Julian Sands obviously under siege. Offensive line could have done maybe a little better for him. Also, he maybe could have handled the pressure a little bit better. He's a first-year starter. There were some mistakes made. He did make some plays. There was an opportunity for this team. I thought they battled back. They got in the game. They put together a good drive before the end of the first half. Could have potentially got points. They ultimately didn't. And you look at the little margins here in this game, and I think that's ultimately what decided it.
Do you think the defense got tired, Ohio State's defense, because end of the game, Ohio State punts the ball, and Miami just drives it down the field and scores a touchdown. They couldn't get a stop.
Without looking at the numbers, it felt like Ohio State's defense, the Silver Bullets were on the field a lot. They got some stops. There was a time after the first drive in the second half, the offense goes down and gets a score. You have them in a 3rd and 5. They give up a deep 10-yard out, keeps the drive moving. There was just little times where they maybe could have gotten off the field. There were some times where the offense maybe could have helped them out a little bit. There was a situation with a punt on a illegal procedure that gave up 20 yards of field position from the 10 to the 30. Those are the differences in games like this when you get in the playoffs against really good teams.
What do you think Ryan Day learned tonight in this game, and what do you think is going to keep him up as he looks back at this game and how it ended?
I think some of the things on the margins, maybe some of the protections, how much the defense was on the field, some of the penalties, obviously the pick 6. And we looked at this defense still, they only gave up 17 points. There was a pick 6. They didn't even get a chance to stop it. So defensively, you played probably well enough. You had a missed field goal. There was opportunities that you look at within the game to be able to find ways on the margins to get victories. And that's what great teams do. They did it last year. They found ways. This team, they got close. They would get to the edge. They couldn't do it. And so I know Ryan Day, he's always chasing edges. How can you find the edge? And they'll take a hard look at that.
Last thing, obviously, there's going to be change with this team. Brian Hartline's leaving. They got to get an offensive coordinator. Where do you think Ryan Day's mind is now coming out of this game?
Well, I think right now you're mourning a loss. And you got to deal with that. You got to internalize that. You'll take a good, hard look at that. But then moving forward, it's going to be what can we do to keep this team with what is working well, and then how can we improve it? The coaching staff, what changes need to be made, what guys do we want to keep, how we structure the offense. Hopefully you can keep Matt Patricia here and keep building on this defense, and then the transfer portal's opening up, who leaves, how many you want to keep as many guys as you can, and then who else is potentially out there that could help you. And so those are all little things around the margins. Then you get your team set, you get your staff set, you get back to work, and you go focus up in 2026.
All right, Bob, don't go away. Also, for you folks watching, we will be going to Ryan Day and the players as soon as they get into the interview room. But right now, let's throw it over to Adam King.
Yeah, Dom, that is where we are. We're awaiting all the Buckeyes. We expect them to come in here and start talking in just a little bit. Obviously, this is not what they imagined at all when it came to the end of this game. We saw so many players walking off the field so upset. I saw C.J. Donaldson getting comforted by Carlos Loughlin. He played a great game, better than I think many would have expected in this game. IGB, I saw him go back to the locker room. This is his last game as a Buckeye, but they pulled him back out and made sure he got to sing his final Carmen, Ohio. So Ryan is going to take the podium alongside of 2 Buckeye players, and then we will get the rest of them in this breakout room here in just a little bit. They get about a 10-minute cooling off period after the game to give them a chance to debrief, to have a conversation, and take a moment, because obviously this is not what anyone expected when it came to how tonight would end, how this playoff run would end. It's almost shocking because we're back here. I was here 2 years ago when they played that Missouri game, and this is the exact same feeling they had, although this is different because it is a playoff, but it just felt shocking in the first half of this game. Like something we had never really seen from a Buckeye team, where they were unable to get things moving on offense at all. The offensive line looked every bit like they needed more reps, like they were rusty, as Timmy Hall said earlier, and nobody wants to make excuses, but we're now 5-0 with the team that didn't get the bye winning in these games. So we'll see how that plays out tomorrow, but this may be another point to prove as to why these upper seeds getting a bye can hurt you. But really with the Buckeyes, it came down to the trenches. I think you know that, Dom. I think everyone knows that. You cannot lose on the offensive defensive line and expect to win a game like this. So a very frustrating time. We're going to bring you sound from interviews coming up as soon as we get to hear from the Buckeyes, Ryan Day, and a few players. But first I'm going to throw it back to Nicole and Tim.
Yeah, and Tim, I want to go off of what Adam's saying because, again, we're not making excuses, but it is incredibly apparent that first half, negative rushing yards, Julian Sayin sacked 3 times. Defense is also struggling. Miami's running all over them. Then second half, we start to see the Buckeye team we've seen all season. And he just said it. Teams that got the bye are now 0-5.
Yeah.
That's a crazy stat.
I'm not going to pretend that it's not a factor when I think that it is. Now, look, I think I want to put that, even though it's been running through my mind a lot.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it the entire month as we build up to this game. It's ridiculous that you have a sport where you have a gigantic gap almost a month long. This is not like we're breaking for the Olympics or some international competition. This is the makeup of the sport, and you can sit around for a month getting rusty before you go and play your game. Now, you want to do it, right? You want to play in the Big Ten championship game. You want to have a bye. You're supposed to do those things. It's on Ohio State. It's on Ryan Day. It's on the coaches. You had one coach in Brian Hartline. No fault of his going and getting a job, trying to better himself and better his career. I mean, South Florida is a good first job for a football coach, and we wish Brian Hartline all the success because of everything he's done for Ohio State in recruiting wide receivers and developing them. But we knew we were going to talk about this. The second things had to shuffle around. You didn't like the way it went in the Big Ten championship game. Nobody did, right? We all watched that game.
Right.
The offense sputtered, so Ryan Day wanted to take the onus, and it still didn't work. Whether that was more of something else, that you just weren't ready to play the game, was it because of the rust and the long layoff? I think it was a combination of all these things. It amounted to what we're going to talk about as being one of the most disappointing seasons we can dream up, and it's a season that they beat Michigan. And I don't want it to be twisted as in I don't see. You don't care about that Michigan game as much. You want conference championships and national championships. You do want the Michigan game, but there's more to it. There always was. It's a combination of all these things. You want to beat your rival. You want to win championships. You want to do all those things because that's what the expectation is for Ohio State. But to start 12-0, to have a team where that you really felt they were good enough, they were talented enough to repeat, to be the first team to do it, and to lose your last 2 games and to lose to this Miami team that barely got in.
Yep.
Like their profile just got past Notre Dame when it was all said and done.
100%. And it's a Miami team that lost to Louisville, lost to SMU. But here's the reality. This Miami team showed up tonight. They showed up. They said, we have everything to gain, nothing to lose. We are going to play with our hair on fire. And I felt that from the first start of this game.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt it from the get-go. And I think, like you're saying, it took the Buckeyes a second to get the wheels turning. And I think that does go back to the fact that they hadn't played a football game in 3.5 weeks. And again, that is not an excuse. Miami's coming off of a game where they fought tooth and nail against Texas A&M and they got the win.
They didn't look good.
No, and they didn't. And they didn't.
They didn't look good either.
But tonight they played their best game all season. I mean, I really think they played their best game all year.
Well, that's sports. That's life.
Yep.
I don't think Miami is a better football team, a more talented football team than Ohio State. I mean, the team that we watched go up to Ann Arbor and take it out on Michigan, and they did it with a kind of physicality and a nastiness. Like, that's what showed me. This offensive line, they have it in them.
Yes.
They've done it. We've seen them perform at a high level. We've seen them throw some people around. We've seen them keep Julian Sayin as good and as clean as any quarterback in the country.
Crispy white jersey.
Oh, my goodness. He has been upright all season long. So I think that also is a learning experience, like Bobby said, for a young quarterback. Keep in mind, that's a young quarterback. And when you're going into championship season, this is also the first time ever that you're seeing Julian Sayin going into games of this magnitude. And when he's under duress, there was a couple of times, even on that last drive we mentioned where we didn't get points, where Jaden Fielding, been a problem. I thought he could have run up the gut a little bit, got down, clocked the football, take that timeout, maybe get some more yardage, get a closer field goal, or maybe take some more shots. There just were some things where he could have probably done a little bit better job buying more time. But that offensive line, of course, that was a different unit than we've seen. They gave him no chance in the first half.
And I do want to add that when you look at the numbers specifically, Julian Sayin had 287 yards. Jeremiah Smith had 157 yards. It was a great performance offensively when you look at the pure numbers. And the one glimpse of hope that I think every Buckeye fan should have is Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith are coming back next year. This team isn't going anywhere, but I think what's upsetting is when you look at guys like Sonny Styles, obviously a Caleb Downs going to the league, Kenyatta Jackson, we're still not sure what he's going to do, IGB. That's the heartbreak, right? Is those guys just played their final game in the Scarlet and Gray, and our Dom Tiberi had a front row seat to kind of all the emotions. And Dom, I want to bring you back in just to kind of hear your updated thoughts on this loss.
Well, I think the players' faces told the whole story. You know, they obviously there was a look of astonishment. They didn't know what to think. And Bobby Carpenter, Adam King here with us. We are actually outside the interview room, the media interview room, and Ryan Day will be going on one side. On the other side, we will have players, and we will bring that to you once they get in there. But Bobby, I think, you know, you had to deal with some heartbreaking losses in your time at Ohio State. What are these guys feeling? And, you know, they wanted to be the first team ever to run it back. It's just not easy to do, is it?
It's not easy to do. That's why there are very few teams that have ultimately done it. You look early on, felt like the defense played good. Then they started breaking a little bit. Offense didn't get it quite going. There were some mistakes that were made. They tried to correct them. They played hard. They battled back, got back in the game, but ultimately ran out of gas. And that's what's tough in a game like this, where you're trying to find the margins, trying to find the edges, and you just give up a play here or there, and it ultimately costs you.
You know, Adam, I know you're in shock. I'm in shock. Buckeye Nation is in shock. This team won so much and made it look so easy. And these last two games, unfortunately, just did not go their way.
I don't know that I'm in shock. I think I'm a little angry because that second half was the team that we knew. That second half was the Buckeye team that really could have beaten anybody in the country. And that first half was an anomaly. I mean, it almost made you laugh. It was so confusing as to what you're seeing. Julian Sayin had no time at all. That's all we talked about all week long, was making sure Julian Sayin had time. And instead, he's standing back there. At one point, he had 3 Miami defenders grabbing him and throwing him around. I don't know that I ever would have envisioned that. I do think it was a culmination of everything that happened, whether it be the play calling with Brian Hartline, trying to get that settled in. I know you don't pin it on one player, Jaden Fielding. There were a lot of mistakes in this game by a lot of people, but that field goal ends up being major in the end of the game. So it just, I don't know, it felt like a culmination of things we've talked about for now a month, and it all came to fruition in a way that I don't think anybody could have imagined here. And now Nicole said something that jumped out, that you have to be happy that Jeremiah and Julian are coming back. Bobby, you played defense. That was an historically good defense that Ohio State had. They gave up one garbage touchdown at the end because they wanted to get the ball back. Otherwise, they gave up one touchdown in this game. They gave 11 up all season, 12 if you count the last one. I mean, letting that go without a title hurts.
It's tough. When you have a defense that's that good, you have All-Americans on the defensive line, All-Americans at linebacker, All-Americans in the secondary, and you're not able to get it done. We talked before the game, oozed a little bit on some of the tackles. They broke a couple. They got out of there a little bit. There were some opportunities in the secondary to maybe get some stops. There were some opportunities in the rush where you maybe let Carson Beck out, let him scramble a little bit. And so it's not that the defense played bad, but our expectations for this defense were so high and so good that they hadn't yielded more than 16 points all season long. They gave up 17 in this game, and as you mentioned, the last touchdown, maybe a little bit of a throwaway. They played well, but there was times where they needed to get off the field. Right at the start of the second half, when you have them at 3rd and 5, you had just scored, you have all the momentum. If you can get off the field at that point, I think that makes a big difference. Ultimately, they yield a field goal. It's not the end of the world, but you kill some of that momentum, and that's what this defense, they prided themselves on being the best, and they were close. But how do you find those edges? And they were really close tonight.
You know, the other thing, Bobby, too, is as you look at going forward, this is big-time college football, and, Ohio State's going to expect to be in this playoff every year. As Ryan Day looks to bringing this team back, they're bringing Jeremiah back. They're bringing Julian Sayin back. They've got to address the offensive line, and I think they got to address the kicker.
They got to get better in the kicking game. My guy Pat McAfee just walked through here. He knows you got to get better in special teams. You got to do some better stuff, and ultimately they weren't good enough.
All right, here we go. We've got the carts coming. We're going to have we're getting out of the way. This is live TV, the way it rolls. There's Coach Ryan Day. Julian Sayin and Coach Day are going to go into the news conference. We will bring those comments to you live, as well as Caleb Downs. All three going in to the interview room, and we'll flip and carry that for you live.
We likely just saw Caleb Downs' last game as a Buckeye, and now he takes the podium here alongside Ryan Day and Julian Sayin. We're going to listen into that.
Okay, we are now joined by head coach Ryan Day and his student athletes Caleb Downs and Julian Sayin. Coach Day, we will ask you for an opening statement before we go to questions from the floor.
Yeah, we'll just take questions. Thanks.
Okay. Questions for our student athletes first, and then we will come back for Coach in just a bit. I think we have a question here on the right side on the front.
Timmy, FanStream Sports. Caleb, how frustrating was it there in those final moments not to get that stop? Y'all were #1 defense in the country, et cetera, and just how frustrating was it?
Yeah, it was frustrating. We didn't get the stop that we needed to have, and that just lost us the game, yeah. You already said it.
You remember one key play from that sticks out?
They got a long run the first play, and then we didn't get a stop on 3rd down.
Okay, we'll say on the front row here on the right.
Hey, Julian, Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette. After not getting much going in the first half, you guys found some rhythm offensively in the second half. What switched there in the second half? And I guess for you specifically, how do you think you handled it from a poise standpoint the first half? And that?
Yeah, just started executing better in the second half, but ultimately, wasn't good enough. Didn't put up enough points, and it starts with me, and we got to be better on offense as an execution standpoint. It starts with me, so we got to be better and put up more points than 14.
Okay, question here on the left on the aisle. We'll get the mic to you just a second.
Doug Lamarice, the Bill and Doug Show for Julian. As you guys prepared for this game, what did you think of Miami's pass rush, and then how difficult was it for you to try to handle that tonight?
Yeah, they have 2 really good edge rushers. So we knew we were going to get the ball out of our hand quick, and there was times today where I held on to the football, and they were able to get after me and get some sacks.
Next question, I think, sir, on the front.
Jeff Gilbert, Press Pros Magazine. Julian, talking about the pocket and everything and maybe opportunities to run and go and do that. What are your thoughts about that coming into this game? And do you feel like you missed any opportunities to do that?
Yeah, I think there were some opportunities today where I could have maybe taken off and scrambled for some yards and took some sacks that weren't necessary and got us into tougher situations.
Here on the left side aisle.
For Caleb, you guys were the #1 team in the country, trying to repeat as national champions. To lose your last 2 games, just what kind of opportunity do you feel like was lost here this season?
At the end of the day, we didn't execute the way that we needed to win the game, and that's what it is. And we can't change it now. So go from here.
Let's bring Coach into the mix now. So for Coach or any of the 2 student athletes, I think we have a question over here on the right front.
Bill Rabinowitz, Substack. Ryan, you were off for 25 days. I remember last year you talking about how the team that played got momentum and the team that had the bye, had to kind of create it. How big a factor do you think that was? Because the first half didn't look like Ohio State football.
Well, I felt like it took us a while to get into the rhythm of the game. I thought we did coming out of the second half, and by then, it was going to take a very, very efficient second half to win the game, being down 14-0. But I felt like at that point we got into a rhythm, and when we had that drive there, where we took a shot. It was incomplete, and the next play was a hold that got us way behind the chains, and that was the drive that we needed to go win the game. And when you have a start the way that we did, you put yourself at risk of having to be really, darn near perfect in the second half to go win a game. So we put ourselves behind the 8 ball. We worked really hard during the last 3 weeks leading up to this game to come out of the gates and win the first quarter, win the first half, be ready to go. I thought we had an excellent plan on that and what we did. I think the guys bought into it, but at the end of the day, we didn't get it done. And that starts with me, and it goes down from there. So, I take responsibility for not getting the guys ready, as you know, we spent an inordinate amount of time putting the plan together to get everybody ready to go play in that first half, and we didn't win the first half. So, we got to figure out why that was and learn from it moving forward.
Okay, on the left, front row.
Yeah, Ryan, you just talked about the offensive game plan and the plan that you guys put into place. How much does the plan that didn't work in the first half now affect the way that you have to move forward with shaping what you need to do with this offensive staff and with what you guys need to do to get better there?
Yeah, well, just fresh off the game, so got to evaluate it all. But early on, I felt like we had a hard time. Gabe was struggling a little bit early on with his first big spot there, and we were scrambling a little bit. We lost Austin, and they have an excellent front. I thought the guys battled and got back into a rhythm, but I thought we had a good plan going in on how to get the ball out of our hands quick, but that obviously didn't work. We took 5 sacks, and so we got to get back to it and figure out where we're going to go moving forward. But we got to sit down and evaluate all of it.
Now on Coach's right, front row.
Ryan, I guess to Stefan Kreischer, Cleveland.com, I guess to follow up on that, do you have updates on Lorenzo and Austin? And then with the offensive line situation, I know shuffling and rotating, it worked for you guys last year, but how difficult was it, this past month or so with trying to figure out the right side and then today, kind of having to move around again?
Well, as you know, we were in this spot last year when we lost Seth and we lost, Simmons, and so this is part of playing this time of year. You got to have depth and you got to perform in those moments. That's the bottom line, and it's our job as coaches to get them ready and to do what they can. Lorenzo had a shoulder there, and Austin had a leg contusion, and he was in tears because he wasn't able to go back in the game. And I think the decision was made that we were going to put him back into the game when he was struggling at that point. But he would have done anything he could to get back in the game to play in this thing. He cares about his teammates and wanted to finish. So we got obviously got a team of guys that, have poured a lot into this program. And, some guys, this will be their last game as Buckeyes. And so it's going to hurt and sting. And so, I want to make sure that they still know how much we appreciate everything they do and everything they've done for this program. But it hurts right now, and it hurts for those guys. And so, they put a lot of work and time into this thing. So, it's our job as coaches to make sure that, we figure out ways to put them in a situation to be successful. So, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to do that. And we got to take a hard look at that and figure out what it is that we got to get done to get better.
With Lorenzo, is it the same, has that been a nagging thing for him this season?
He's been dealing with a shoulder all season.
Don't do a follow because our stenographers need to hear that question. Next one be on the left.
Austin Ward, 97.1 The Fan. Ryan, when it was like at the end of October, maybe early November, you talked about pushing the gas pedal when that time came. I know that that's maybe making too much of one comment. Was there something about the way that this offense was constructed that didn't allow you to do that the way you might have envisioned?
No, I don't think so. I think you saw us play with a little bit of tempo today, but when you're not getting first downs early on, you got to make sure you're getting into the right plays and doing what you need to do to get first downs. And I think that some of that stuff did give us a little bit of juice in the second half when we needed to. I thought that gave us an advantage at times in the game, but it wasn't done near good enough. So all things that we'll make sure we look at.
Second row, left side.
Yeah, Jake Trotter, ESPN. Ryan, you guys gave up 6 sacks during the regular season, 10 combined in the Big Ten championship, and then tonight. What happened with the pass protection? Because it clearly impacted the offense.
Yeah, it's hard to just say one thing. We tried to help out. I mean, they have a very good front, and we felt like it was a little bit of a different scheme than what we dealt with the week before against Indiana. Indiana was a lot of pressure, a lot of movement, a lot of twisting and things. This was a bigger group of guys who are hard charging, front. So we went in with a certain plan, and you can tell right from that first third down that we had a hard time, and being on silent, we didn't quite get off the ball on that one, and that caused the first sack, and kind of went from there. But I do think there was a point where we got it under control, and we were moving the ball pretty good, and but and certainly the play that Scott made there on the pick six was a huge part of the game. He triggered and hit that thing, and we didn't quite execute it right in terms of what was going on in the perimeter. I think Julian's decision to throw it, was the right thing to do at the time. But he made a heck of a play, and that early in the game certainly flipped the scoreboard fast and put us in a hole. And and then at that point, you got to fight yourself out of it, and we weren't able to do that. So we wanted to be aggressive. We felt like we did have an advantage downfield in the passing game, and so that was the give and take of it. Was we wanted I think Jeremiah ended up with 157 downfield. We felt like we could do that, and we were going to be aggressive, but we also knew the give and take of it, and so that was part of what we were working through. And at the end of the day, it didn't work.
Let's move back to the right side.
Yeah, Julian, on that pick six, what did you kind of see as the play developed? As it came out of your hand, did you see the guy? You understand what I'm asking there. When did you realize, uh-oh?
Yeah, after it came out of my hand, I saw him make the play. It was a great play by him. And so, obviously can't have that in that situation.
We'll stay on the right.
Ryan, Cameron T with The Athletic. Obviously, you shifted some things around for play calling and the way the coaching thing was set up. Obviously, a slow start in the first half. Did you feel like the coaching staff was in a groove, or did you feel like there was some stuff that you guys had to iron out in that first half that led to some of the slow starts?
I mean, I got to look at it all and figure out what that was and what that is, because it's not good enough. So look at it all, and we got to do better. We got to do better. So that's the bottom line. And whatever it takes to get better, we'll do.
Extreme left side, front row.
Coach Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Despite the loss, just we can say about Caleb and Julian, what they did to try to create, especially in the second half after the first half didn't go the way you wanted it to go.
Say it one more time.
what your takeaways were from the positive plays that Julian and Caleb had, just what they did to try and give you a chance in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, first off, what Caleb Downs has done for Ohio State and does every day, most of it you see is on the field, but what I see is off the field. He's a special young man who has done a lot for this program, and, I'll forever be in debt for what he's done for us. Not only his play, but what he stands for off the field, who he is, his family. It's tremendous. He played his tail off tonight, and nobody hurts more than he does. And then Julian, this is somebody who hasn't, played a lot of football. It's his first year of playing, and he competes. He works at it in the meeting room. What he does in terms of his preparation, what we put on his plate, and getting us in and out of plays, protection checks. This guy here has got a very, very bright future ahead of him. I think Julian has a chance to be as good as he wants to be. Now he's got to learn from this, and that's a big part of playing quarterback. When you look at a lot of the guys who have success at the highest levels of college football, they have a lot of games under their belt, and Julian's got this now this season to learn from and grow from, and he's going to come back even stronger next year.
Almost out of time. I have one more question here on the extreme right.
Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Huddle. Ryan, when was the decision made to go with the silent count in this game?
Right from the jump.
Yeah. And you could tell that it was going to be that kind of crowd?
Yeah. I mean, indoors here, we've played here before, and it doesn't take a lot to really echo inside here, and so we felt like that was the right thing to do.
Okay, Coach, Caleb, and Julian, thank you for coming. I have a list of the...
A lot of emotions there, obviously, and rightfully so. But I think, Tim, the more that we stand here and think about this game, obviously a tale of two halves, but also it was a game of missed opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really frustrating for us watching, especially for the guys on the field. For Ryan Day, I think about, to start the game, the turnover, Peyton Pierce, IGB strips it out.
Great play. Pierce goes in with the left hand, IGB with the hit, Pierce with the left hand. And look, we know what was going to happen. Well, we like to think that first drive, that quick 3 and out, that was just, who cares, right?
Right.
Quick 3 and out, take a sack. The game just started. Then when you do get a big fumble recovery like that, you think you're going to be revved up, jazzed up to get back out there. 4 plays, 16 yards, punt it back.
Right.
And then another drive goes by, and you realize, oh, shoot, we have a problem on offense. This offensive line is not nearly ready to play a football game against a Miami defensive front that is this good right now. And we go on from there. I guess the end of the first half then.
Yep, that's what I was
kind of get to the next missed opportunity with maybe there were some issues. Did you think so with clock management? I thought at 51 seconds, you're in the middle of the field, you need to take that time out because the time another play was run, it was almost down to 25 seconds. You have a 3rd and 2 in the middle of the field. Take the time out with 51 seconds left. You're going to get the first down on 3rd and 2.
Right.
Then the clock stops. You can rush up to it, either clock it or then run a quick play and then go from there. Get closer because I said this. When you had that 50-yard field goal attempt, there wasn't a Buckeye fan in the world that thought that it was going to go in. And Jaden Fielding, we wish you all the success in the world, but Ohio State has got to improve their kicking game, special teams entirely. I mean, you think about the punting game. You had a punt down to the 10 that was critical, and then a mystifying illegal formation penalty, and then the next punt, you get 39 yards on it from Joe McGuire. You can't have 39 yards on a punt when you need 59.
And that's
it's not good enough.
That's the thing. You look at what Ohio State looked like to end the half. They worked the ball downfield. Julian Sayin can't find the open guy, and then we're sitting there, all right, let's get the field goal at least. They can't get that
points,
done.
Right,
let's get points. Anything to avoid going into the locker room with nothing. But that's obviously not what happened.
Yeah.
Then second half, completely different Buckeye team. Dom, Adam, we've all said it this entire show. That's what's so frustrating about this is because that was the Buckeye team we know and have seen all season. And that is the team that could win back-to-back national titles. And that's what really is just so gutting about this game. But our very own Adam King is talking with Carson Hinsman, so take a listen.
Carson, obviously that is not how you guys envisioned Take us through that first half there and what was going on in those offensive line huddles.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we didn't execute the way we wanted to, which is, obviously disappointing. And, we wanted to come out in the game and start fast. Obviously that didn't get done. Didn't give Jules the time necessary. And honestly, it's, to our standards, it's embarrassing to go out and play like that, knowing we could have played so much better. So it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt for a long time, and it should. Honestly, it hurts more just for me being now an older guy and knowing the other older guys that are leaving right now, and it's going to be a difficult pill to swallow for a while.
When you look at that halftime, what was the conversation there?
Yeah, we obviously we had to go in and make something happen. I felt like we did a great job coming out and starting to play the ball we wanted to. Started establishing the run a little bit more. Continue to start making strides there and continue to start finding our rhythm, but obviously it wasn't enough. And got to finish in the fourth quarter.
What was that message after the game from Coach Day?
Yeah, kind of like what I just said. Obviously this is going to really hurt for a while, and it sucks. Obviously losing games sucks. I've been unfortunate on the bad end of a couple games in my career, so it sucks. It's also a good learning lesson for a lot of people. So I think for the younger guys who are coming back and the older guys who are leaving, obviously it teaches perseverance and determination throughout these next few months before we start up and get going again.
Do you find that the break, maybe you had a little rust going out there?
Maybe a little. Obviously it takes a little bit to get games to be back up again, but I think we did a pretty good job in practice trying to emulate that. So there's really no excuses for what we did.
Do you think it took too long for you guys to establish the run and to establish what was working on offense?
Yeah, we just didn't execute early, and that comes. That obviously will show in not establishing those things. And so for us to do what we want to do and say what we want to do, we have to go out and start fast, which we didn't do. And in games like this, you have to do that against a team like that. And so when it doesn't get done, you put your game and your season at risk.
Well, Carson just said it there, and something that really struck me with that interview is he said it was embarrassing, the way that they played out there. They have standards at Ohio State, and we all know this. When you come to Ohio State, you are expected to play the best football in the country. That is the expectation. Winning football games is the expectation. Winning a national title is the expectation. So when Carson Hinsman says that, you feel that, because that's what all those guys feel out there.
Yeah, it's what Buckeye Nation feels, right? It's what all the fans feel. Forget about, and we talked about it already, the gap in between your season here. You hope that you knock the rust off a little bit faster. Take a drive, take a couple of drives, and then you start to get into sync. You can't have it be the entire half with the massive pick six that happened, which we broke that one down too while we were listening to the interview, where Jeremiah Smith, who razzles and dazzles with his receptions and his yardage, which he's one of the best players in college football. He'd probably like that play back too, like some of the offensive linemen where he doesn't get on Keontae Scott and knock him off his mark a little bit, and that play was slow to develop, and it was telegraphed, saying would like that one back and not to throw it. The offensive line, as you heard Carson Hinsman, they would like a lot of those, drives back in the first half where they just weren't ready, weren't prepared, and Miami was revved up and ready to go, and their defensive line just feasted on Ohio State the entire half, and that was the difference in the football game.
And listen, I want to say one thing, because of course this loss stings. These guys are going to internalize this for a very long time, but the loss aside, we cannot ignore what this Buckeye defense was this season. When you look at this game, they really only allowed one touchdown. The pick six was another, and then of course that chump change touchdown to end the game. They kind of just wanted the ball back to make some magic happen.
You had to let him in to see if you could score on the first play and then get an onside kick and another big chunk play and maybe a chance at a tying field goal. So you're right. The pick six and then that one, it was one true TD.
This was a defense that for most of the season, teams were averaging just 6 points a game against this defense. They have so much to be proud of. And the fact that coming out of last season, everyone was kind of saying they just lost all their guys. Ohio State defense isn't going to be what it was last season. And I will still stand here and say that I think this defensive front was better than last year's. I mean, you have guys like Kenyatta Jackson, Caden McDonald, Caden Curry, and Caden Curry. That's the name I want to hone in on, because this is a guy and an absolute dude who peaked this year. He really played into himself. He finally was kind of the Caden Curry that I think we've all been waiting for, and our very own Dom Tiberi got to catch up with him after the game.
Caden, obviously not the ending you had hoped for. So much to be happy about with this season, but obviously, just what are you feeling right now?
I mean, just disappointment, honestly. You know, you could do so much more in that game. You know, if you play that game 10 times, you know the outcome of the other 9 would be, but it just sucks. I mean, you know, it's such a great team to play for and just such great coaches, and it's just sad to see it all end. I mean, I know this team will succeed, and their future is going to be bright now that they have more of an edge and more to kind of gain now. So I'm just happy for them, and I'm happy for this university to move forward.
Obviously, this is a tough pill to swallow. What did Coach say to you guys after the game?
I mean, same routine as always, man. We want to thank the man above for giving us just the opportunity to come out here and play and being safe throughout it. And, I mean, it just sucks, man. You know, it's just not the way we wanted it to go.
This game looked to be one in the trenches. Is that how you saw it?
I mean, it definitely was pretty heavy up front. They had a great O-line, and we definitely had to keep it stout, and I feel like we did a pretty good job of that, and I feel like we did our job too, but it's all phases of the game. It's not just one phase, and I feel like we all could have done better. It's not just one person.
When you look back on this season, there were so many things to be excited about. I mean, and I know it's hard to think right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to reminisce, and we're going to go back and talk about all those times. I mean, it's always great to beat the team up north. I'm always going to have that under my belt now, and it just sucks couldn't do any of the other things. But, I mean, hopefully it just keeps a hunger in their butt for the rest of the offseason, and they just come back firing next year.
Has it sunk in? It's over?
No, not really. Not at all.
What's the hardest thing right now?
Just kind of moving on, man. I mean, I thought I had so much more time with this team. I thought our story was going to be told. But I'm just grateful and happy to play for these guys, man. I wouldn't change it for anything. And I just love this university, and I love the state of Ohio.
You certainly made a name for yourself this year.
I mean, I appreciate it, man. I always got to give thanks to God, and I just want him to keep me safe throughout this next couple months of my life and just let me do what I want to do and play the game of football.
Obviously, there's next year. This team can reload, and a lot of young guys on this team, they'll learn, won't they?
Yes, I mean, it's Ohio State University. I mean, they're always going to have another team, another great team, another team that's going to come out firing. So I'm just excited for them, and I know they're going to come back swinging harder.
Buddy, as we go out, your message for Buckeye Nation.
Just never give up, man. You know, I mean, the Buckeyes always come back, and they always come back stronger and harder. So just never give up on us, and go Bucks.
I mean, Caden Curry made a name for himself this season, and what's kind of insane is when you talk about names: Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, Kenyatta Jackson, Edric Houston, Caden McDonald, dogs. Every single one of those names.
Yeah.
So yes, Caden Curry, and I said it before, he was really a guy who came out this season and really found himself as the Buckeye that I think we've all kind of been waiting for. But when you talk about this defense in general, those are names that are going to go on, play in the league, and we're going to hear their names a lot more on Sundays.
And you think about it, Nicole, like the guys that they were replacing last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible to think about this. You had Tyleek Williams on this defensive line. You had JT Tuimoloau. You had Jack Sawyer. Love seeing Jack Sawyer, by the way, make some big plays in the NFL. Started to get some run with the Steelers here last couple of weeks. But that's tough. That's a tough act to follow. And I don't know, like we did sort of have those names, Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry, kind of earmarked.
Yeah.
Like we were hopeful that they would fill those shoes and play some good football. I don't know if you can ever hope for, some of the stretches that we saw from Caden Curry in the middle of the season where he was turning into just a bona fide monster. He was. And Kenyatta Jackson, he had some stretches in this season where he was outstanding as well, and he was a factor. So, I mean, with the way the Buckeyes recruit, they just got a big win on the trail this week here in a 5-star defensive end. You don't know how much he's going to play as a true freshman, but you're always looking for those next guys. And if that's it for Caden Curry being a 4-year player, I think you heard him there. He wants to be safe through these next couple of months and stay healthy so he can get ready for the NFL draft. I'm just going to miss so many guys on this defense.
And that's the thing, and that's
Caleb
what's so
Downs,
tough.
for sure.
Oh my gosh.
I think he's the first player, has to be, right, to play in 3 straight college football playoffs with Alabama and then 2 with Ohio State. And he's so good, he's not going to be sticking around to possibly play in a 4th. He's going to be a top 5 pick. Every team in the NFL is going to want their shot at Caleb Downs.
Well, and I say something that I think we should never take for granted is the fact that guys like Caleb Downs, Jeremiah Smith, 2 of the best football players in college football, played for Ohio State. I mean, we are witnessing greatness.
How'd we lose to Miami? I know.
Listen, I know,
right?
and it's football,
Stinks.
and it's how it works. But a guy that I know all of Buckeye Nation is going to miss so incredibly much is the Blocko, Sonny Styles, and our Adam King got to catch up with him after the game.
But obviously, this is not how you wanted this season to end. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, just obviously don't want the season to end like that. You know, obviously in Miami they played a good game. There's some things we wish we could have done better, but it's over now. So. Just appreciating all my time here, appreciating Buckeye Nation. It was a blessing to be able to be a Scarlet and Gray, play for the Buckeyes. So just taking it all in and taking in all the memories and appreciating it all.
What was that message in the locker room like? A lot of the guys talked about what the seniors had to say.
Yeah, just a lot of guys just showing gratitude to each other, just showing how thankful we are for each other. And then for me as an older guy, just thinking about how the time flies by, or even guys who were juniors about to be seniors, thinking about how the time flies by. And you don't want to walk off the field feeling like that, but it is what it is. You know, some guys have to come back and kind of rejuvenate that and try and fix that, and some of us that's it. So
you leave Ohio State as a Block O, as a national champion. Do you take a moment to reflect on that today?
Yeah, you know, obviously just the biggest thing on the mind right now is the loss, but yeah, I mean, you appreciate all the great moments, but yeah, just kind of more focused on thinking about the loss right now. It sucks, but it is what it is.
What did Miami do to make things so difficult there, especially in the first half? They were moving the ball.
I thought they were attacking the C-gap run area pretty good, and they were cracking our safeties, cracking the support, the people that are coming down. So they were doing a really good job with that. Every time Caleb was coming down in the box, someone was cracking him, and then you got to crack or play, so that's really hard. And yeah, they're just doing a good job. Number 4 is a good running back. He did a good job. You know, I thought in the second half we kind of settled down for a little bit, and then that last drive we just didn't get to stop.
Appreciate it, Sonny.
Yeah.
I mean, Sonny Styles, the definition of an Ohio State Buckeye. He's an Ohio kid. He will always be the Blocko, always be a Buckeye. He moves from safety to linebacker. He's an incredible football player, and I just can't wait to watch him in the league. But obviously right now, feeling all those emotions just watching that interview. But I want to send it back out to our Dom Tiberi, Adam King, and Tim May with just some final thoughts, guys, as we wrap up from Arlington.
Yeah, we're back in the stadium. Tim, overall thoughts, what did you see tonight?
I saw a team that was dominated early. I'm talking about Ohio State was dominated early, then got right back into the ball game. You'd be surprised. They led this game in total yardage by about 30 yards. But the bottom line is, final analysis, when you get a momentum touchdown like they got early in the fourth quarter, and then you can't get the stop defensively to get the ball back, that's really where the game swung. I know there are a lot of plays that could have been made that would have helped their cause, etc. But finally, in the final analysis, you got to make the plays that truly matter at the end of a game, and Ohio State did not get that done. A valiant effort for sure, but you know, teams with byes are now 0-5 in the college football playoff. Maybe there's something to that. I guess we'll find out for sure tomorrow.
They're going to take a hard look at this O-line, and they're going to have to go to the portal. They're going to have to recruit.
Yeah, but the O-line got a little bit of handle on things, especially in the second half when Ian Moore replaced Austin Serville. Austin Serville got banged up. Padilla went in at right guard. They got some things figured out there to a certain extent, but it just seemed like Miami, in key moments, came up with that big play defensive, that big sack. The holding call against Phillip Daniels was huge. People tell me who saw it closer on television, might have been controversial. Bottom line, it was made, but they just couldn't get that stop when they needed the ball back at the end. That's laying, maybe they'll blame too much on the defense. I'm not so sure about that. It was the number 1 defense in the country going into this game. You got to get, they had 2 chances on third downs to get their stops and didn't get it done. But offensively, you always got to score more than 14 points.
You know, Adam, we can sit and think about how in shock we are right now. But the bottom line is this team's always going to be a playoff team. next year, they're going to have a lot of talent. They've got to recruit hard. They're going to have to go to the portal. But there's reason to be excited about next year.
Yeah, it's a long road to climb back to that hill. And right now, I don't think any of these guys really wanted to talk about next year. I think they're shell-shocked about what just happened here. I think Tim nailed a lot of good points there. There is a lot of question marks with this team as to what happened in that first quarter. You can't be outgained 110 to 9 yards. That can't happen. It didn't make any sense on both sides of the ball. The offense or defense didn't look like the team we'd seen all season. The one thing, if you're going to talk about next year, offensively, you have your core. Bo Jackson, Julian Sain, and Jeremiah Smith are all going to be in the Heisman frontrunners when we start next year. Defensively, you got a lot of questions. Is Kenyatta Jackson going to come back? We need to know what that's going to look like, and it all starts with Matt Patricia. You got to make sure you get the man with the pencil back here, because I understand they lost, but I don't want it to be lost that they had a historically good defense this year. And it reminds me of the game when they lost to Clemson in 2019, because they just had a defense that doesn't come along every year.
No question about that. Tim, what do you think Ryan Day is going to look at? What do you think as he leaves here tonight? What's going to hot him? What's going to keep him up tonight? And obviously he was the play caller tonight.
Initially, not being able to handle Miami's vaunted pass rush, I was as curious as anybody. How good is this group? It had so much ballyhoo coming in. Reuben Bain and the gang, as I called them, they were damn good. But like I said, Ohio State figured out some things and got it done. What's going to haunt him from this game was that holding call, definitely against Phillip Daniels. When they had it going, they had the hot hand and had the ball for a third straight time. Looked like they had a chance to maybe drive down and get a third straight touchdown. Are you kidding me with the way this game started? And then they got put in that big hole and never really got a chance to get out of it.
What do you respond, and I've already seen some of it from the anti-Ohio State people, that they were pretenders, they really never played anyone, and when they played someone, this is what happened.
Well, they got beat by Indiana, 13-10. They got beat by Miami 24-14. The two best teams they played all year, they got beat by. They know that, and we know that. So that's where you put it. They had a chance at history, maybe winning 2 straight national championships. But in the bottom line, in the 2 games that truly mattered, they weren't good enough. And that's really the only way of putting it. The scoreboard always tells the tale.
Tim May, thank you. Adam King, I don't know what to say except that, you know what? Next year,
spring ball will be here in
bring it
about
on.
3 weeks.
Bring it on. Back to you, Nicole and Timmy.
Well, guys, obviously not the outcome we wanted, but great stuff from Arlington. And like they said, this is a team that doesn't rebuild, they reload. Guys like Julian Sain, Jeremiah Smith, Bo Jackson are coming back next year. There's so many bright spots of this team. Of course, some areas to build off of. But they're going to soak this loss in for a while, and they're going to sit on it, and that's okay.
Nicole, I want to tell everybody, listen to The Fan all day tomorrow, starting at 6 a.m. with T-Bone and Tyvis. Me and Common Man will be there at 3. We'll have lots of thoughts. Keep it locked. The end of the Buckeye football season.
That's right. Well, for Dom Tiberi, Adam King, Tim May, Bobby Carpenter, Timmy Hall, I'm Nicole Shearin saying thanks for watching and have a good night.